Hi, good evening, Mayflower. I am Senator Booster. I'll be moderating this candidate debate. Today we have five candidates that will be debating. We have E.C. Alterich from the Homeland Party, Potato Gamble from the Social Democratic Party, Anakin Toast from the Republican Party, Ackley from the Homeland Party as well, and Mr. Donald J. Trump from the Republican Party. I'll be going over a list of rules that all candidates must follow during this debate. In the event they do not, they will be given up to three warnings before they are removed from this debate. All candidates must remain on topic and follow moderator's instructions. No interruptions while another candidate is on the floor is tolerated. Discussions must remain civil and focused on the topic at hand. The moderator controls the debate and recognizes speakers. Each candidate must request the floor before speaking, and candidates have 1 minute to speak per turn, no more, no less. Do we have any opening statements?
Yep.
All right. Mr. Donald J. Trump, you have the floor for 1 minute. Your time
Thank you.
begins
So,
now.
all right, thank you. So I just got here from the debate hosted by MPBS. That was a wonderful debate, an awesome debate. I debated many great people with many different viewpoints, and uh, it just humbled me to be able to share my opinion and hear others' ideas and opinions. Uh, and I'm honored to have been selected in the primary to represent my constituents and the Republican Party tonight on this stage. I would just like to remind you that if you vote me in, I will serve you and you only, you the voter, not the Republican Party, not the liberal Democrats who are letting the immigrants flow in. That's all.
Okay. Anakin Toast, you have the floor for 1 minute as well. You may begin.
Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Anakin, and as I'm sure you probably already know, I'm running for Mayflower State Senate. Our government needs professionalism, accountability, and real leadership. For far too long, we've seen politics dominated by incompetence, secrecy, and personal agendas. I believe that it's time to restore integrity to our institutions and ensure that those in power serve the people, not themselves. I bring a fresh perspective to the table. I'm not a career politician. I'm not here to play the same tired political games. I will bring professionalism to our government, focusing on transparency, efficiency, and results. As a Jewish Colombian, I also stand firmly in support of Israel. In an era where Israel faces growing threats, we must ensure that our allies know we stand with them. I will always push back against anti Semitic rhetoric echoed by the Homeland Party and advocate for policies that strengthen our ties with the Jewish state. At home, we must address the lawlessness plaguing our streets. Reckless drivers and rising crime threaten public safety,
Thank
and our
you,
government has been
Senator
too weak to
Anakin.
act.
Thank you, Senator Anakin. Do any other candidates have an opening remark? All right. We'll begin by having a few pre-written debate questions. Then we will move into topics that call-in individuals will ask if we get through the debate written questions too quickly. All right. The first question is for Senator E.C. Altrich. Senator E.C., what are the first three bills you plan to introduce in the Senate if elected? Your term starts when you begin talking. You have the floor.
Okay. Well, first of all, I'd like to well, since the Public Servants Act basically got denied by CA, I still want to increase budgets. So that's also what I plan to do. The second bill, I plan to reverse the gun control that the GOP submitted. Uh, by Daniel Crusoe was the author of that bill. And the last bill, I'd like, oh wait, and the last bill I'd like to introduce is, you know what? I don't even know.
Is that all?
That's all.
Okay. All right. Potato Gamble, your question is, how will you ensure that the Senate operates efficiently and avoids political gridlock? Your time begins when you begin speaking.
Well, to avoid political gridlock, I would be in support of a lot of debate between different political parties and trying to come to a consensus and compromise on key issues and bills. So try and meet halfway between the Republicans, the Homeland, and all the other parties that are out there, so that we can try and get a bill that can be passed instead of no bill at all. That would be I yield.
Is that all?
Yeah.
All right. One moment. Okay. Sorry about that. All right. Anakin Toast, your question is, what will you do to increase transparency in the legislative process?
I think that to increase transparency in the legislative process, as I've echoed in my campaign promises, I will be hosting bi-weekly town halls with my constituents for all individuals to attend, where I will address, and then monthly public releases addressing just kind of what we've been doing in the Senate and simplifying it so every citizen is able to adequately read and understand what the Senate's going through.
All right. A new rule shall be introduced immediately if the person before you who is the primary of the question, if they do not answer, if they answer in under a minute, others can add on or rebuttal for up to 30 seconds. So if anyone wants to add on or go against what Anakin just said, you have 30 seconds. All right, we'll move on to the next question. Aquiviver, how do you plan to collaborate with senators from the opposing party to pass meaningful legislation?
Okay, so I want to first off, look past our political views because obviously, because we're from separate parties, we may have differences, but all in all, we're supposed to serve the people as members of the Senate. We're servants for the public, the residents, and we have to build relationships with each other in order to serve the people to the best of our ability. So, some things I might, start looking towards would be, for example, focusing on some common interests that I may have between this opposing political party candidates. I can set some goals for them, that we can both try to achieve together and make compromises. Yeah, that's basically what I have to offer.
Thank you. Does anyone want to go against or add on to what he said?
Yes, I'd like to add on.
All right, you have 30 seconds.
I just want to say that the Homeland Parties is not going to just be voting against whatever the GOP says just because we're enemies. We're here to do common sense reform. And if I personally agree with a bill from the Republicans, I will vote it into legislation.
All right, thank you. We are now going to move into economic questions. Mr. Donald J. Tremp, what specific legislation would you introduce to support job creation and economic growth?
Right. So, uh, I have advocated and campaigned strongly off of deregulating certain industries, including the private sector. Now, as far as my plan for stimulating job growth in the private sector, I want to deregulate it a little bit. And a good example of this would be the Three Musketeers. They are a fishing company. They pretty much just fish. So, you see, uh, my plan to stimulate job growth in that sector is to deregulate. And a good example of uh, how I plan to deregulate it is by not requiring fishing licenses. Why do I not want to require fishing licenses? Because they're $300 and it's a cheap piece of plastic that isn't even laminated, by the way, and is quite frankly just
Thank,
a cash crop for the government.
thank. EC Outreach. Should the Senate pass a law that capacitates government spending, or do you believe in increased government investment? Your time starts now.
Well, it depends on what we're talking about. Are we talking about for public servants?
We're just talking overall government spending.
Overall, I think with the Letty certification crisis, where a lot of Letty certs are unemployed, we need to increase the budgets in that regard. But one thing I don't agree with is the amount of M&G that are on. I think we need to cut back on that, even though I know that's not like a funding thing per se. I just feel like the government should cut back on that because there's a lot of M&G right now, and it's kind of like messing up the game right now. But overall, I do say we should increase government funding where it's needed so we can stimulate job growth.
All right. Any add-ons? Okay. Potato Gamble, your question is, what criminal justice reforms, if any, do you plan to introduce? Your time starts now.
Like criminal justice, could we go into expungements or general court procedure?
Anything, general.
Well, a key part of the Social Democratic campaign here is that we want to try and lower expungement times on the lower end of records. So we want to keep the amount of days you have to wait for if you have a high amount of records. For instance, 60 records, you have to wait 60 days. However, our party believes that if you get a misdemeanor, currently you have to wait 20 days to try and expunge one misdemeanor on your record. That is a little bit too much in our opinion, and we want to try and lower that incrementally to like 14. And the same as with one single citation, 10 or less. You have to wait 10 days, and then there's even more because of the court processes and whatnot. So by the time that it's off the record, it's probably going to be 2 weeks for singular citation. So we want to try and lower those times. That's about it for criminal justice reform.
All right, thank you. Anyone want to add on?
Yeah,
Okay.
I just like to
Could
add
the
on to what he
question be
said.
repeated?
Yes. What criminal justice reforms, if any, do you plan to introduce?
Trim, you were
Potato
first.
Potato Gamble mentioned how he was
All right.
attempting to lower the expungement time for misdemeanors, and that was all that I remember. So if you would like to add on or rebut to that, please speak now. You have 30 seconds.
All right, so I just want to add on by saying that I don't think the current expungement time is unreasonable, especially for a misdemeanor, because I get it's relatively minor, but once again, the 20-day limit is in place for a reason. It's there to prevent people from abusing the expungement system. So, like, for say, I get arrested for reckless driving, and I just keep doing it, and I keep abusing the free expungement system so I can get as many jobs as I want, run for public office as many times as I want to,
Thank you.
all without repercussion. That's all.
Okay. Moving on to the next question. Anakin Toast. What measures would you propose to ensure law enforcement accountability? Your time begins now.
Um, I would encourage law enforcement accountability to mandate, as I believe has been previously mentioned in previous debates and among residents, that all law enforcement officers should be running a clipping software as they run. At the moment, it's basically law enforcement's word versus your own, unless you have a clipping software running. And well, most of us should be. Law enforcement should be mandated to run a clipping software and have a clip of the entire arrest or a pursuit in order to make the arrest or pursuit to ensure that there's transparency and it's fair for all individuals. No one should be falsely arrested of something and just by happenstance they don't have a clipping software. They can't prove their own innocence. It's disgraceful, and I believe that the burden of a clipping software should be on both sides.
Thank you.
Can I add on to that?
Yes, you have 30 seconds.
Thank you. So, since I'm an attorney, I actually experienced this very problem recently with a client, so I can kind of relate to this. I'm not going to go into too detail because some of it's kind of privileged information, but pretty much the entire shebang with it was he wanted to contest uh f- uh he wanted to contest an arrest. He was arrested for because he was parked. I think he was parked on like the side. He was parked in no parking zone, and the officer came over and cited him. They argued for a little bit. Uh, yeah. All I'm gonna say is I've that's all.
All right, thank you. Because I noticed you guys are trying to add on and you're talking very quickly and you're losing your footing. I'm gonna extend the add-on slash rebuttal time to 45 seconds. If you guys need more time, just let me know. I'll see if we could fit up. But anyway, Aquiver, your question is, what steps will you take to combat corruption in government and law enforcement agencies? Your time starts now.
Okay, so as we know, there's some prominent issues with some corrupt politicians and the deep state. Some things I'm gonna try to implement is a task force, to start investigating each candidate or senator, person in office individually. Check the background, check what kind of affiliations they have, and if they have criminal affiliations. And as we know, there's already like a whistleblower program, and I just want to bring that to light. Encourage more residents to come forward about any corruptions that they have been a victim of, and yeah, just overall raise public awareness of the issue.
Thank you. Any add-ons, comments, rebuttals? All right. Let me try something new. All right. All right, Mr. Donald J. Trump. What is your stance on Mayflower's involvement in an international alliance like the United Nations? Should we expand, limit, or withdraw, in your opinion?
If you're asking me my honest opinion and view on it, I think it's a great way to stimulate foreign. I think it's a great way to stimulate foreign are seen on the foreign international community. And I'm also a huge advocate for having friends on the outside, because a decent example. Let's say Mayflower Red Front leader Offergrove and Senate Progressive Party candidate. Let's say he organizes the Mayflower Red Front to retaliate or effectively overthrow the state government. It would be great if we could have, ties, allies, to come help us in MNG, suppress the debate or suppress the retaliation. I just think overall that having friends on the international scene is a great way. Even though we are a state, it doesn't exactly make sense for us to be involved on the international community. It's still generally
Thank
just a great
you.
perk to have. That's all.
Okay, thank you. Does anyone want to add on or rebuttal?
Yeah, I would.
You have
So,
45 seconds.
alright. So, in the Social Democratic Party manifesto, we want to try and grow closer to other nations through the Department of State to try and have state visits so that the diplomatic security service would have more of a role, which we find would be more engaging. And we'd also like to note that the central authority has mandated that like Clark, state of Mayflower, stays in the UN. So it's not up for discussion if we're going to leave because CA has stated we have to stay there. So I see it as a great opportunity to try and have more LARP state visits and whatnot. And that's it. Thank you.
All right. And can you please mute your mechanic microphone? It's very loud. All right. EC Outreach. What is your stance on hold on, sorry, my fault. Wrong question. EC Outreach, should the Senate have more control over foreign policy decisions? If so, what specific legislation would you introduce?
More control. I mean, honestly, I think the DOS ambassadors do a very good job. I think the Senate should keep its only being able to declare war as mandated in the Constitution. But I mean, really, foreign policy? I really do want us to get more involved, as the last candidate said, but I don't really think the Senate should have much of a say in that. I feel like that should be more of a Department of State issue, so we can get them more active on that side of things. That's all.
Thank you. Any rebuttals or add-ons? Okay. All right, Potato Gamble. What national security policies will you push for in the Senate to strengthen Mayflower's defense, if any? Your time
National
starts now.
security, so any policy pertaining to the National Guard, yes?
Uh-huh. Anything
Right,
related to
well,
national security.
I think we all know that the National Guard kind of fills up way too many server slots. 20% of the server being filled by MNG. I'm not too much in support of it, so I want to try and open dialogue with the National Guard to try and have a little bit less, but enough to protect Fort Standish because of the robbery feature of R21Ms, which we want to try and secure, obviously, and try and work with the State Bureau of Investigations and Mayflower Bureau of Investigations to continue their work with combating terrorist groups. One of which, the candidates here, is a terrorist group leader. Oh, well, not here, but one of the Senate candidates. Anyways, that's it. Thank you.
All right, does anyone want to add on or rebuttal to that? Okay, moving on. Anakin Toast, what sets you apart from other candidates in this race? Your time begins now.
What sets me apart from other candidates in this race is I've been working in politics throughout Mayflower. I worked alongside you, Busta, specifically in the GOP before, unfortunately, Wooly's awful collapse of the and mismanagement of GOP funds. I believe that I'm a candidate for change, a candidate for transparency. I've been very open with everything. I have provided numerous answers to the press. I have not faltered and dodged any questions despite my political opponents when I've had the opportunity to answer them. Um, yeah, that's
Thank,
about it.
thank you.
Oh,
Does anyone
and
want
I'm
to add on
Jewish.
to that?
I'm also Jewish. That also sets me apart.
Oh, okay. Does anyone want to add on to that or go against it? Could someone get Easty back into here? He kind of crashed. He's in the audience area. Yep. All right. Perfect. Okay. Okay. Akivir, or however you say it. My apologies if I'm not saying it correctly. How will you ensure that how will you ensure that the voices of all citizens are heard and represented in the Senate? Your time begins now.
Okay, so I can do constant meetings with the public, regularly listening to what they have to say, town hall meetings, and I would want the citizens and residents to express whatever concerns they have. I don't know, just engage with the community overall. You know what I mean? I can try to interact with the people on a daily basis, see what people are, see what they do every day in Clark, and just, yeah, see what kind of concerns that they might have. And I can also increase my transparency and public influence when creating decisions. Uh, yeah, just let the people do what the people think is best for them.
Thank you. Does anyone want to add on or go against what he said?
Yes, I'd like to add on.
You have 45 seconds starting now.
All right, as the chairman of the Homeland Party, I will be talking with my candidates if we are elected to have a open DM policy with all residents, so they can express their concerns, and that we can hopefully pass legislation straight from the public's mouth. That's all.
Okay. Thank you. Anyone else? All right. Mr. Donald J. Trump, do you believe senators should be held accountable to higher ethical standard? If so, what reforms would you prefer? What reforms would you propose? Your
All
time
right,
begins
thank you.
now.
That's a wonderful question. I encourage that line of questioning. In fact, because like, not even in the last debate did they ask me about this. So let me answer it for you. Yes, I think absolutely senators deserve to be held to a higher standard. In fact, I think everyone who holds elected or public office in the state of Mayflower needs to be held to a higher standard. Time and time and time and again. The DOJ, government prosecute, whatever their prosecution for government officials division is called, they have prosecuted so many government officials over the course since this group's start, and it honestly is just wow. It blows my mind to see how how unchecked these politicians are allowed to run amok. And what I do about that is I would propose some more legislation allowing for sentencing enhancements of those.
Thank
Uh,
you. That is all. Sorry to cut you
oh
off.
man,
Does anyone want to add on or rebuttal against what he has stated? Okay, we will make our way back over to the other side. Why am I? Okay. All right, Steve. How will you handle disagreements within the Senate while still pushing your legislative agenda forward? Your time begins now.
Well, it's no secret that the previous government's been like crippled from infighting, and like I said previously, I'm going to try and pass all common sense reform no matter from what party it's from. So I guess it would be important to moderate between the candidates, I mean, between senators, and make sure everybody's voices are heard despite any disagreements. It's very crucial that we make compromises and we meet halfway in the middle. So important legislation can still be passed without infighting. That's all.
Okay. Does anyone want to go add on to that or rebut against it? All right. We will take a 2-minute recess so that people can go to the bathroom if needed, and so I can handle this transgender MBPS reporter. We will be taking call-ins after the break, so if you want to join the Alder group Discord server, and yeah, raise your hand. All right, thank you. We'll see you in 2 minutes. All right, welcome back from that recess. I happily handled that transgender MPPS broadcast. Anyway, our next question goes to Potato. Did I ask you the previous one? I lost track.
No, you
I
did
did.
not.
I did not. Okay. Then this next question is for you. Potato Gamble, what is your long term vision for Mayflower and how will your time in the Senate contribute to achieving it? Your time begins now.
Right, well, Allah willing, I wish to win within the top six most votes, so I have a term of 180 days. Within this period of 180 days, I wish to accomplish my stated goals and then some. So that would be the expungement reform, as I stated earlier, alongside my at-will employment reform. I really want to destroy at-will employment. Hundreds of workers in Clark have been under the to subject of at-will employment terminations. People can be fired for literally any reason that an employer wants. So I want to legislate the removal of that and outright ban at-will employment. And as a whole, uh, that'd be generally the two main things, other than trying to get budgets by working with the Mayflower Republicans and Homelands and other parties in the Senate to try and get a budget that will get as many people as possible into law enforcement as CA allows by the 925 rule.
Thank you. Just a quick clarification. As of now, the governor and majority of the Senate does not condone the removal of the at-will termination policy. All right. Does anyone want to add on or rebut against what Senator Potato has stated?
I'd like to add on, but first, can I confirm? Is this question regarding at-will employment?
No, this question, I will say the question again. What is your long-term vision for Mayflower and how will your time in the Senate contribute to achieving it?
All right.
Your 45 seconds begins now.
Thank you. So one of the big things that I've campaigned on, and I've mentioned this a few times, was deregulation. So, my plan for deregulation consists of many things, but one of the most notable things that I put out on the spotlight there is uh, reforming at-will employment and lifting restrictions on hunting and recreation, such as fishing licenses. So, my plan to reform at-will employment is I think that for the most part, I kind of sympathize with the opposition to at-will employment, but I think we need to investigate that more. I think at-will employment has its uses. Like, for example, when a department head or leadership knows someone is dealing for, like, they know it for a fact, but just can't prove it, that would be when at-will employment pops their head and becomes handy.
Thank you.
But,
Thank
alright.
All right. Anakin Toast. If there was one candidate you would strongly criticize on their objectives, who and why would you oppose them? Your time begins now.
If there was one candidate, I would strongly criticize Altark through his defamatory allegations already claiming there's a Jewish deep state that I'm a part of with his appalling graphics and his anti-Semitic remarks. It's disgusting, personally.
All right. Is that all?
That is all.
Does anyone want to add on? That was a very short response.
Yeah, I'd like to rebuttal.
You have a 45 seconds. Sorry.
I think we should. I think my defamatory statements are more than justified considering the state of the GOP and how you Semitic fellas have been running it. With $1.4 million going missing and alleged ties to the Roe Mafia and Smirtov. Oh no, it's fine. I already signed the cease and desist order. Fine. Anyways, yeah, that's about it.
Okay. Thank you. Does anyone want to add on or rebut to that? Because I know that was a hot response. Going once, going twice. Okay. Aquiver. Am I saying it correctly, by the way? I've been saying it like that for a while. Am I saying it correctly?
Yeah, it's good.
Okay. Akwi Niver. Will you make the Attorney General position an elected position so it actually serves the people instead of serving the governor? Keep in mind, these were pre-written questions from the community poll that we did earlier this week. So all of these will be community questions from now on. Anyway, your time starts now.
Okay, so I believe the Attorney General should, in fact, be a community elected position. Because if there is so-called deep state, alleged deep state, I'm not going to go into anything too deep because I don't want to get cease and desist, but this could seriously influence the legitimacy of anything that comes out of the AG's office. Anything that, for example, because the Attorney General has direct control over NBI investigations, the influence over DOJ and all that stuff. If a wrong person could get in, then that would seriously harm the community. And the best way to avoid corruption is to get the general vote, because the people know best for the people.
Okay. Thank you. Does anyone want to add on or rebuke to that? Okay. Mr. Donald J. Trump. I don't, man, I don't think I'm in the right mind to ask this, but why is Senator Boostaziz such a hated person in this community? You have 1 minute. Your time starts now.
Well, thank you, Mr. Booster Z, and I'd like to answer your question as to why you think you're such a hated person. I believe that stems from the accusations that you helped misappropriate us funds. You were probably one of the many reasons that the GOP had its fall from grace for a while, and we're still building up from that. And I'm trying to help my party build back up from that. I'm not going to cover up what they did, because what they did was definitely wrong, and I'm not disagreeing that it wasn't wrong. But uh, just in general, the reason Boost Disease is so hated because the media has stated over and over and over again that you have ties uh, to the misappropriations of funds, and I unfortunately have to agree. I I believe that may have been a part of the reason as to why the GOP had such a big downfall. But overall, I don't think you're a terrible guy. I think you have great intentions. Just got caught up in a bad situation, which uh, led to a few bad portrayals from the media. But I wish you the best
Thank
and nothing more. That's
I'd
all.
like to clarify this is a community question sourced from the poll. I did not know this was actually going to be in here. This has nothing to do with bias or anything. So that's just a quick clarification. Does anyone want to add on or rebuke to that statement? Okay. Moving back over to this side in the final lap of our question. EC Outreach. How do you feel about transparency in general? And if you support it, how would you bring it to the Senate?
I feel like this question was already asked by AQ, but I just want to kind of go off of what he said. As I remember, it is I want to hold press conferences. I want to have an open DM policy, and I want to make sure that the people know what's going on outside of classified information. Of course, I want to make sure they're informed about their legislature. I want to make sure that they're informed about the police force too, because I think they have some problems with transparency too. But overall, yeah, I just like to hold press conferences, keep an open DM policy, and let people know about any major changes that they might not know about from the legislation. That's all.
Thank you. Does anyone want to add on or rebuke to that? Okay. We have a couple more questions. However, it appears there is a extremely wanted audience question that should be answered from a transgender MBPS reporter. I'll let them ask the question now. You are invited to speak on the stage.
Hello. My My name is Rebel Pilot 09. I am the journalism manager over at the MPBS, the far better news source, if you ask me. I feel very welcomed by your campus, but I have more comments towards the broadcast itself than the actual candidates. Whilst I had met most of these people earlier, I believe I met all of them earlier at our superior debate. I had more questions oriented towards your broadcast. Where's any of the action? Where's any of the exciting bits that the the audience actually crave more than anything else?
Alright. Anyway, thank you for the question. I'll be responding to that by saying, nigga, this is not real life. Get the fuck off the stage. Alright. Potato Gamble. Your question from the community is, what assurance to the people have you that you won't draft dumb legislation? You won't draft dumb legislation, sorry. Your time begins now.
Well, I presume by dumb you mean something that the people don't want. And all my policies are pretty clear, and all of them are. My party is like very narrow with regards to its policies. So if I were to get elected, I wouldn't do anything unsurprising or anything out of the bounds of what people really elected me for. So, for instance, legislation, dumb legislation, like something that would go against my views, like keeping at will employment, voting on a bill that would keep it rather than remove it, or something that would, for instance, a budget that would not have enough law enforcement members as I would like to, that would help make intakes for police way less competitive. That'd be my response.
Alright, thank you. I'd just like to clarify, since this was directly taken from the survey and the community member asked it, I would clarify that I assume they meant by dumb, like irrelevant or truly not beneficial to the state. If you want to add on or like go off of this new
No,
information.
not really.
Okay. Any rebuttals? Any add-on? Okay. In our last line of questions, last three before we do call-ins, if there are any. Anakin Toast. In your opinion, do you believe that Governor Orange Bear, along with his Lieutenant Governor and Secretary of State, are abusing their position and majority rule in the government, and even concealing people opposing them? Wow, that's holy shit.
I'm
Your
sorry,
time begins now.
you cut out. Could you please repeat the last part?
Sure. I will say the entire question again. Keep in mind, this is a question from the community survey. I did not pull this, believe me. In your opinion, do you believe that Governor Orange Bear, along with his Lieutenant Governor and Secretary of State, are abusing their positions and majority rule in the entire government overall, and are even concealing people opposing them? I'm going to make this a question where everyone can answer because this is like really controversial. But Anakin, you have 1 minute starting now.
I believe with the governor's outburst when he departed from the GOP and his misuse of government announcements to advertise his political party consistently, alongside the Secretary of State's statement, and then the persecution by the Department of State onto the GOP was a misuse of their power. I can't really speak for the lieutenant governor. I have not been privy to much of what he's done. From what I understand, he works more behind the scenes and directly with the Senate, and I will say I support him in his efforts to remove inactive senators like Daniel Crusoe and BR. It's a admirable statement. I wish that the governor was more open to cooperation across party lines and did not make everything such a violent political transition as he did.
All right, thank you. Does anyone want to add on to that statement? Rebuke?
Yes, I'd like to.
Okay, go ahead. You have 45 seconds.
Thank you. So, I think Orange Bear 22 is a great guy. He's great intentions. I've ran into him a few times. I've got to work with him a few times. I think overall he's a great guy. But my only real complaint is that I think he's also a college student. I just don't think that he should be devoting all of that precious time he could be used studying for whatever he's majoring in, um, onto Roblox politics. Like, I'm not a college student. I have plenty of time for this. So overall, I think Orange Bear 22 is a great guy. His lieutenant governor's kind of an NPC or a background character in his administration, but overall, I'm really hoping I can work with Orange Bear and his Mayflower United Party. But what I was hoping to get to was that Orange
Thank,
Bear 22 left the GOP because we
thank.
didn't.
Your time is up. I
Uh,
apologize. You will get a statement later on as we move down the line. Acquiviver, your
all
1
right.
minute to the response of the question begins now. Would you like the question to be repeated, actually? Because,
Yeah, sure.
okay. In your opinion, do you believe that Governor Orangebear, along with his lieutenant governor and secretary of state, are abusing their positions and majority rule in the entire government overall, and even concealing people opposing?
Okay. So this is like a really, sensitive topic for the Secretary of State and Lieutenant Governor. I can't really speak much on the matter. I don't really know them. I haven't interacted with them, and I don't feel like I've been negatively affected by any of their policies or um, implements. For the governor himself to address the what you claim hiding opposing the opposition, all I have to say is if he's doing that, then he's doing a really good job at it because I don't really see, you know, a lot of outspoken stuff against him. Yeah.
Thank you. Keep in mind this is a community question. I don't have anything to do with this. I know I have a lot of controversial opposition with, but I'd just like to clarify that. Does anyone want to add on or go against his statement?
I'd like to add on something.
All right, you have 45 seconds starting now.
Well, I definitely don't believe it's Orange Bear who's the one causing problems in our state and hiding. How do we say this? The opposition. I feel like that's CI Pack and some other individuals affiliated with those groups of people. That's all I have to say.
Thank you. All right, does anyone want to rebut to that? Okay. All right, Mr. Donald J. Trump, your overall response to the question begins now. Before that, do you wish to reread the question?
Can you repeat that? I didn't get that. I
Do you want
lagged
me to
out.
repeat the question before you respond?
Yes, that'd be
Okay.
wonderful.
In your opinion, do you believe that Governor Orange Bear, along with his lieutenant governor and secretary of state, are abusing their positions and majority rule and even concealing people opposing them? Your time begins now.
It's a great question. Let me answer it for you. I do think there's probably some conspiracy between the governor and certain members of his cabinet, especially after he stormed out of the GOP, after the chairman of the GOP, or then Chairman Willie McNoble, refused to seat his picks in the primary. And this actually happened while I was being voted in at the primaries. I was there. I was a candidate when all that went down, and I think that the governor, I think the governor there definitely needs to be some type of investigation in that because there's no way something fishy is just coming from this. There's a fishy smell coming from it. I don't like it. I think we should at least investigate. I don't think Orange Bear's guilty, nor do I think he's innocent. I think he's a great guy, a great politician. Not a bad governor at all. Definitely could do better. Definitely does better than I could as governor. But uh, overall, I just think there needs to be a form of protection. Why am I wearing a press vest?
Thank you. That is a great question. I don't know why you're wearing that. It might be because you might get shot, I assume. I don't know. Stage admin has the
Well, if they're gonna shoot me, it's gonna be in my ears. So
okay. Does anyone want to add on a rebut to that statement Mr. Trump said? Alright. EC Outreach, before I give your time. Do you want to rehear the question before responding?
No, I'm good.
Okay. Your 1 minute begins now.
Well, I feel like I've made it quite clear who the enemy in my eyes is. I, the governor has helped me out during numerous points in trying to take action against certain people. So, personally, I think he's a great guy, and I think our efforts should be focused on other people. I'll just say that.
Okay. Is that all?
That's all.
Thank you. Anyone want to rebuke and go against? Okay. Potato Gamble, same question for you. Do you want it to be respoken before you answer?
Can you repeat the question?
Yeah. In your opinion, do you believe that Governor Orange Bear, along with his Lieutenant Governor and Secretary of State, are abusing their positions and majority rule in the entire government and even concealing people opposing? Your 1 minute begins now.
I would say it's to a certain extent. I mean, it perhaps there's no concrete evidence, so it's just Orange and how he gives off this vibe with him like having a very direct control over the Mayflower National Guard and viewing it as his personal army, which certainly could be viewed as political intimidation. I'm not sure there's any actual like intimidation going on or concealing, but he's definitely trying to have like this vound or mysticism surrounding him around like him being powerful and like having the Mayflower National Guard as his personal army. So I don't think so. No.
Okay. Thank you. Does anyone want to rebuke or respond to this? Add on. Okay. We're finally going to move on to the next question. I believe it was Aquiver. Yes. Okay. Oh boy. It's actually another. This is going to be the final question before we do Collins. This question will be asked to all the candidates, so they will all get a minute to respond. We're going to start with Aquiver. All right. Candidates, will you be increasing police activity in and around Marseille to quell civil unrest? Aquiver, your time begins now.
Yeah, I would definitely be increasing police activity near Marseille, but that does not mean I won't be also increasing police activity elsewhere. So, for example, if another city has major crimes like Marseille and the crime rates are skyrocketing, I would obviously reallocate whatever efforts I put in to that specific city. But as of now, and from personal experience as living as a resident of Clark County, I can tell that Marseille crime rates are just over the limits. It's constantly increasing, shootings happening every day, and I just feel like we're not doing enough. So, in short, yeah, I would increase police activity at Marseille, but that will be subject to change depending on the situation.
Thank you. Does anyone want to oppose? Oh, okay. Mr. Donald J. Trump, same question for you. Will you be increasing police activity in and around Marseille to quell civil unrest? Your time begins now.
Thank you. Yes, I believe that extra. Can someone take this vest off me? Thank you. So, anyways, I'll be reclaiming my time.
Sure.
Anyways, pretty much my opinion, my whole 2 cents on that is yes, I think we should, and I plan to cooperate and reach out to the governor after I assume office about what we can do to get more cops headed that way to Murcia, because quite frankly, Murcia is a massive spewing dumpster fire of crime right now. MPD stressed to the local law enforcement agencies are like nowhere to be found because they're all inlander harassing truckers and intimidating public defenders because, you know. Anyways, so yes, I believe that I can work closely with the governor, my fellow legislators, to pretty much asking the governor and saying, "Hey, let's get more cops headed to Murcia to, extinguish the flaming dumpster fire, uh, hot spring of crime that is actively spewing
Thank you.
from
Time
the
is up.
hellspawn that is known as Murcia." Thank you. That's all.
Is the outreach same question to you? Will you be increasing police activity in and around Marseille to quell civil unrest? Your time begins now.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, like Lander's like so big, like barely anything happens over there. In my opinion, whenever I'm in game, all the crime always happens in Marseille. So I feel like it would be prudent to get more law enforcement agencies over there. Even though I have seen recently that there is a larger police presence in Marseille, sometimes that's not the case. But yeah, that's about it.
Thank you. Potato Gamble, same question for you. To speed up the end of this, I assume none of you have any opposing or adding on
No.
statements.
In the interest of speeding it up, I have the same thing to say as person that went before me.
Okay. Well, that concludes the 2002 Mayflower Senate election debate. I am Senator Booster Z. Before we conclude this broadcast and I get arrested by MBI, I would like to say none of these questions were made by me. I'm only the requested debate moderator. I've been requested for this position, and I've done this because I am bored on this Saturday night. So, with that being said, if the candidates have any very quick closing remarks, you may say it now. Okay, looks like nobody does.
I do.
Oh, never mind. Okay, just
No,
you have
actually,
10
Anakin can
seconds.
go first.
You have 10
Uh-oh.
seconds.
I don't have closing remarks.
You have 10 seconds.
Sorry.
Alright. If the camera could go on me.
I have some closing remarks.
Okay. Trump, go first.
Oh my god.
I want to go last.
Go ahead. You have 10 seconds.
All right. So, I thank everyone who voted for me in the primary. I'm happy to represent you tonight on this debate stage, and God bless Mayflower. Make Mayflower great again. That's all.
Alright. Thank you. And Potato
A
Gamble.
vote for Anakin is a vote for Israel.
Okay.
Vote for
Yep.
Anakin today.
No,
Potato
I'd like to
Gamble.
say that if the camera could. Can this Jew get off, bro? Holy shit.
Order.
but,
Order.
My,
You're at order. Let's keep
my,
it
my
civil.
heart goes out to y'all. I just want to say that. My heart goes out to you.
Okay, thank you.
The Jews have control.
As I said before, live in Alder, I'm Senator Booster Z. Thank you for your time watching this, and I hope you have a great day. I know I won't. I'm about to get abducted and sent to Orange Bay. Thank you, and good night. They're not gonna rush the stage, are they? Oh shit. Get the fuck away from me, nigga. What the fuck's wrong with you? Nah, you're never gonna take me alive. You're never gonna take me alive, bro. Fuck you. Yo, nigga, back the fuck up. I'm gonna shoot your ass. Dumb motherfucker. Who do you think you are? Well, you're MBI, but, you know. Yeah, good boy. Sit on that stage like the dumb nigger you are. Oh, I can't say that. Never mind. Why am I on fire? This is an attempt to silence me. The deep state is real. The deep state is real.